Thanks for tuning into the 6-3 podcast. I'm your host, Joel, with my co-host Ben and Isaiah. Um, this is our last one, guys. So shed a tear. We've made it, or you've made it. You've grinded through it with us. Our fourth consecutive year of position group rankings is coming to an end with our defensive backs for the 2023 NFL season. I maybe overexpended my energy into making a longer list of DBs. Usually I just did like the starters, but I basically typed out about 10 to 12 guys for every team this time. Depth matters. Depth matters. And I think it's harder to like pin it down when I used to separate it by corners and safeties. But we're doing all DBs here. Save time and energy. So I will be the first overall pick this time. And my first pick is going to be the Buffalo Bills. With Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, all coming back, working together for like the last 3 years in an outstanding secondary. Kaiir Elam has played well. I think this is his second year out of Florida. One of the few Florida corners that maybe will pan out. Taron Johnson, obviously been there for a while too, reliable. Sierra Neal, Dane Jackson, Dean Marlowe, former Lion, Taylor Rapp, and DeMar Hamlin, comeback player of the year, with Cam Dantzler as well from Auburn. So I think they're just loaded all the way in. And I think with the Pro Bowlers of Tre'Davious White and Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer is always that borderline guy too. Bunch of really solid guys up front, in the back. I mean, so.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I have them three, but there's an argument probably for the top 4 or 5 to even be number one. So, yeah.
All right. I actually didn't decide who was going second, but I guess Ben, go ahead and go second.
All right, I'll take the Dolphins second here. Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. I mean, I don't know if you get much better than that as far as the duo. They also have Cater Kohow, Javon Holland, Deshaun Elliott. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty top tier group. The corners, Xavier Howard, I'm pretty sure has led the NFL in picks total for the last like 4 or 5 years. And adding Jalen Ramsey, I mean, he's as good as it gets. I know he can be annoying, and maybe there was a little bit of a drop off there for a little bit after he left Jacksonville, but he's still one of the better corners in the league. So, and they're coached by Vic Fangio, so that's a win.
One of the best defensive coaches in the league, yeah.
So I think they're going to be really good. So,
I mean, and we talked about the addition of the very reliable Eli Apple.
Yeah,
basically the Ryan Gosling of Remember the Titans back there.
Eli Apple, yeah. Yeah, he's a liability, but that's okay. He doesn't have to be the guy there. So,
and they've got 100-year-old Justin Bethel back there in the back end, former Lion Deshaun Elliott, like you said, and then Noah Igbenogany. So that's former first-round draft pick. So they're pretty deep. All right, who's your third? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, 1 second. My list just went. Well, my linebackers got pulled up all of a sudden. 1 second.
It might help with the Anthony Barr re-sign, right?
I don't have. Yeah. Okay. I have the Denver Broncos here, which is surprising because they weren't good last year, but their secondary is very good. Patrick Surtain, Justin Simmons, both made all pro. Justin Simmons might be the best safety in the league. Quan Williams is also good, helping out. I think he mostly plays slot. They have some decent depth. Riley Moss. So, yeah.
And then Fabian Moreau, they just signed, so they help themselves.
There we go. That's the one I didn't have. Because that was an update, right?
Yeah, that just happened like 2 days ago. So
okay. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay. My next one. I'm going to take the New York Jets next. Sauce Gardner, Chuck Clark, Jordan Whitehead, very good safety right there. DJ Reed was really good last year too. Then you have Michael Carter the second. One of their two Michael Carters they have to have on the roster.
Mhm.
Then they get Adrian Amos, a very proven veteran in that safety. Bryce Hall's been good, very fast. Ashton Davis is also pretty quick. Javelin Guidry is quick. Brandon Eccles is reliable. So I think they also look pretty deep on the back end too. So obviously Sauce Gardner's all pro and defensive rookie of the year. So yeah, good team, good secondary.
Um,
Mm.
Give me the Ravens here. Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, Rocky Aston, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, who actually Kyle Hamilton was a lot better than I thought he was going to be last year. I thought he was slow, which he is slow, but he makes up for it with everything else. He's smart.
With heart.
Yes, with heart and hard work. Overall, I mean, great corners. Experience beyond Hamilton, and Hamilton will be a obviously in his second year, so he's going to be hopefully make a second year jump even. And I think he was PFF's highest rated safety last year in the NFL, which is nuts. I don't know how much I trust.
I know.
PFF I don't love their defensive back ratings. I like some of it. Like I understand some of it, but like, no, I don't agree with that. I think he was good though. He was a lot better than I thought he would be. So, yeah, I think they deserve to be up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I had them. What are we at? 5? I think I had them right at 5.
That was 5, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'll go with my 3 next. I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
They were my next. Yep.
Obviously, to the Lions' benefit, they lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I mean, re-signing Slay and James Bradbury, they weren't probably going to be able to pull off signing all 3. So they were going to have to let someone go. But they picked up Greedy Williams, who I think has been a bit underrated. Was he with the Browns? He was with the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think is a bit of an underrated pickup. But yeah, their secondary was a huge part of their success last year, and losing Gardner Johnson is a big thing, and losing Epps, but it's not like they're still loaded. They get Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown in the draft, picked up a couple. Where's his name? Terrell Edmonds. So yeah, they still have a deep squad, a very high-end talented squad. Yeah, so I think they're still going to be just as dominant as they were last year.
At 7, I am going to take the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see if Jamal Adams is kind of returns to form a little bit here, but obviously Quandre Diggs is. I mean, we always thought he was reliable in Detroit, but he's turned into a Pro Bowler. In Seattle, Tariq Woolen from UTSA, massive speed demon. Great corner for them. Looks like he got hurt and then it was like negative, so it's good.
I think I think he'll be okay. He reminds me a little bit of Diggs, not Quandre Diggs, but of
Trayvon Diggs. Yeah, me too. Yeah,
gives up some big plays, but he makes a ton of big plays.
Yeah, he's got crazy speed though. One of the fastest corners in the league. Yeah. Also, I mean, I don't put a ton of weight into rookies, but Devon Witherspoon, I think the last rookie to sign a contract. Yeah. So he's officially signed there now. Kobe Bryant will be shooting threes for them in the back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Julian Love, Michael Jackson, former pop star and Detroit Lion. And so then, yeah,
it's got a bunch of dead guys in this
section. It was Illuminati, basically. That's what it was.
What's going on here?
And then Artie Burns, we know that name from a couple years of the Steelers, and then Mo Osling, as well. Mo Osling the third. So yes, not a bad group, but I really like their first 4 guys, especially.
Yeah,
they just need like a Joseph Bite, and they have a lot of dead guys.
Yeah, there you go.
They just need one Democrat voters, and they have a bunch of dead guys.
dead guys. All right, I'll go with. I'm actually gonna go with the Cowboys here.
Yeah, they're my next one.
Yep, me too.
I had them a lot lower. If they didn't have Gilmore, they hadn't picked him up. Somehow he's still doing it. And he's getting on the older side, but he was incredible last year. Like I said, Trayvon Diggs is definitely kind of boomer bust, but he is a playmaker, and if you pair that up with a solid player like Stephon Gilmore, I mean, I think that'll probably work. They do have Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson at safety. Also have Deron Bland and Jaron Curse. So it's a pretty deep group. Really solid at the two corner spots. I don't love Trayvon Diggs' game. Like, I wouldn't want him as my corner necessarily. He just gives up so many big plays. And
Hit and miss, yeah.
He's overrated because he gets a ton of picks, right? So he makes a lot of big plays. But like I said, I think if you combine that with the rest around him, I think you can maybe gamble more and get away with it more if you're him. So I think it'll work out. Plus, Dan Quinn's he's a good coordinator. So.
Okay, let me see here. I think I'm gonna go with a team that's not known for defense, the Kansas City Chiefs.
They have a good secondary.
That they have a good secondary, yeah. Yeah, I think their defense, just because they have to pay their offense so much, is kind of pieced together, but their secondary has shown to be very good. Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson actually had good rookie seasons last year, impressively so. I think PFF had them like with those guys on the field versus with them off the field. Their like team coverage ratings were like vastly different, like worse, basically like best in the league to worst in the league.
Yeah. McDuffie was great at the end of the year. So
yeah, L'Jarius Sneed there, Brian Cook, Justin Reed. So yeah, and it's got some depth. You got a lot of youth, so you see what like that depth actually turns out to be. But DiCaprio Boodle is there. Obviously, we have to know where he's at. So yeah, I just had to shout out that name.
Justin Reed also a kicker. So I mean,
DiCaprio Boodle, man, that's just too good.
So
Bill jersey.
So they were high on. Says I don't like read the PFF articles or anything.
They're high on McDuffie.
Apparently, and then Jalen Watson is apparently as well. I'm not there. Jalen Watson's in his second year. I think Trent McDuffie's going in his second year. I'm like, I need more prove it from that young Brian Cook, I think, is in his second year.
I think McDuffie was very good at Washington, so I thought he would be pretty darn good. And he didn't play a ton until the end of the year. And I think a lot of it had to do with, I mean, I just think the Chiefs played so well at the end of the year across the board that I think a lot of what their ratings had to do, and a lot of it probably was McDuffie, but like, I don't think either of them are like lockdown corners. I just think they're both solid pros. I think they're going to be pretty good. Like,
yeah, I don't. It's always the disparity when I try to look at other articles because I feel like I'm like so far off from them. But I had the Chiefs at 21, so
they had them at 7, if I recall. The PFF did.
Okay.
Which
I like Sneed and Reed. I do. They're proven. They're pretty solid. I think Trent McDuffie will be. I just want to see one more year.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do like the name. DiCaprio Boodle is probably one of the best names in this entire list. So shout out to Isaiah for shouting it out.
I'm looking. $130 is a little too much for a DiCaprio Boodle jersey, but it's close.
I find one on like
you can go on like Wish.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can find one on like.
It'll take you 3 months. It'll be here in time before they get to the Super Bowl. It'll be here.
Go on DHgate. It'll be here by next April or something.
DHgate, yeah, for sure. All right, my next one is the Nolan Saints.
Yeah.
Got Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May, Marshawn Lattimore, all really, really good players in the secondary. Bradley Roby's good. Alante Taylor out of Tennessee had a really nice year. Paulson Adebo from Stanford.
Smoke Monday.
Smoke Monday, the second best name in this entire list.
Smoke.
And then Jonathan Abram, they did pick up too, and he's a former first rounder. So there's something there. Maybe they can tap into it from the Raiders. But and then Lonnie Johnson Jr., Isaac Yiadom. There's some guys that they're taking some chances on that didn't work out in other teams. So potentially could be even better.
Yeah. What number is this?
I think this will be 11.
11. Give me the 49ers. Charvarius Ward, another good name here. Diamador Lenore.
Yep.
That's a top 3 name.
I've heard it. I heard it pronounced Diamador. I've also heard it pronounced Diamodor.
Diamodor. I might like that one better. I might like that one better. Diamodor.
Both ways.
Also, Miles Hartsfield, Tayshaun Gibson Sr., Talanoa Hufanga. I think they're definitely helped out by how good they are up front and by the linebacker group. And their linebackers are probably some of the best coverage linebackers in the entire game. I think we had them number 1 last week, didn't we?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I think it's a really, really solid group. And I think they deserve to be in the top 15 pretty easily. So this defense is going to be really good. So
That officially does seal them to be first overall in our rankings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
They would have had to have gone. They would have had to have gone like 28, and the next team would have to go like.
and they
The
weren't
next
going
team already
that
went
low.
6.
And here's the
So-
thing too, like we talk about it. We can talk about it later or whatever, but like, yeah, they can be number 1 overall, but like they just don't have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. So I just can't pick them to win a Super Bowl or anything.
I know,
Like that.
same. That's where I'm at too. I
We
still
should
think
find a way
with
to
no
weight
quarter,
we should find a
They
way to
could-
weight the quarterback position heavier on the
they could
ranking.
have Kendall Hinton play quarterback for them, and they would still come out with like 11, 12 wins.
Probably. They could
Remember
run
that
the ball
debacle when the Broncos brought out the wide receiver Kendall Hinton?
They could run the ball every play.
They could have Dwayne Haskins back there.
Ooh, and in his.
Did you see Colin Cowherd? Did you?
I did.
Well,
I
dude,
did.
that's totally. He should proofread his interns.
He like
work.
stopped it
for
after he
sure,
read
like,
it. He like stopped and he was just
Like,
like,
did someone really write this? I'm firing this intern right
well,
now.
no, he just went with it though. He kept going.
He like felt, you knew he felt uncomfortable though. He was like, "Oh, I said that out loud."
But he didn't want to stop himself. Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? That was hilarious.
I hate Colin Cowherd, so it was awesome to see.
Yeah, he was not. Yeah, that was dumb.
We're at 12.
Yeah.
I think this is an appropriate place for the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with them. It might be a little high, but obviously a lot of significant off-season signings. Also, Brian Branch with the draft, very significant too, going from quite possibly, and I mean we all watched it every week, quite possibly the worst secondary in the league. Jumping up this much with signings of Mosley, Sutton, and Gardner Johnson. I saw a lot of places where it was like key departure, Amani Artawarie, and I was like, thank God.
It's not a key departure.
Yeah,
key departure
they
and a
pretty much
project.
just they cut the fat of the people they didn't want around, and I think we were talking pre-show, like, yes, there will be some growing pains. It's a massively new group, and it's all starters that are new.
Yep.
But there's so much talent there. Like, there's so much talent. So I'm weighing that pretty heavily. I'll admittedly say that. But even without those new guys, you have Tracy Walker, Kirby Joseph, like you have other guys who have been there. So I really like the group. So I think they deserve to be right at 12.
My next available team, I had them. Had them at 11, so here we're at 13. And I think this is going to be the team closest to the Lions at the end of the final rankings, at least based on what we've already finished. If I have them go here at 13, they finish 1 total point ahead of the Lions, so it's for the best. But I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Devontae Kazee, Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, Joey Porter Jr., Keanu Neal, James Pierre, former Lions, Miles Killebrew, and Jalen Elliott are over there. Shannon Sullivan, Trey Norwood, Duke Dawson. There's some really good guys there. So I'm not putting a whole lot of weight on Joey Porter Jr., but Minka Fitzpatrick's one of the best at his position. Patrick Peterson has been doing it for years. He's not the same as he was, but
He was good last year though for the Vikings.
he still did very good.
Their
So
only good DB last year.
So even if Joey Porter Jr. is like average or serviceable this year, like that's a really good secondary. So
I tend to think he'll be pretty good. Actually, I had him as like the second or third best.
I think he fits well, obviously in the Steelers nation. Like that's big. His dad was there, so it's like the whole culture fit works for him.
No doubt. 14.
Yeah.
Leaning too much into a rookie there. Give me the Chargers. Asante Samuel Jr., Michael Davis, J.C. Jackson, Alohi Gilman, and then Derwin James. Yeah, I mean, James is one of the best safeties in the NFL still. I mean, I know he plays in the box a ton, so he's like kind of a linebacker, but he's still one of the best safeties.
Hopefully they keep him out this year so he can stay healthy. Big reason he gets hurt all the time is just playing the box.
Yeah, he's just fun to watch though. I think he's he's just awesome. Asante Samuel Jr. is still still coming around. I think he's got the potential to still be really good. Michael Davis is solid. J.C. Jackson I like a lot. So I think it's overall a good group. I think they underperformed last year. So, and a lot of that, like you said, I mean, Derwin James is always hurt, it seems like. If they can keep him healthy, I think they'll be really solid. So,
yeah. All right, 15. Where'd Isaiah go for 15? Do I pause?
R.I.P.
All right, Isaiah, that means you get pick 15. What you thinking?
Okay, let me make sure. I didn't miss anything. Did I miss a pick?
You missed nothing.
Well, he picked his last pick was the Chargers at 14. So you're
Chargers at 14.
Okay. This is kind of where it gets tough for me, like these ones in the teens range. I'm gonna go. Oops. Sorry. I'm gonna go with the Washington Commanders. Sorry, the Redskins. I'm sorry.
TBD.
Name to be determined.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go with the Washington Commanders. Kendall Fuller, Cameron Curl, Derek Forrest. God, people need to start spelling their name like normal people. Sorry. They got Jartavius Martin, Ben St. Just.
Yeah.
But yeah, got Emmanuel Forbes, Jartavius Martin. So
Don't forget the fast white guy, Troy Apke.
oh, sorry, Troy Apke. Yep, Tariq Castro Fields. There's not many names I can't pronounce on this, so I'm happy about that. So
That's how you know it's good, right?
yeah. I don't have any red lines that something's misspelled in.
Troy Apke has one of the funniest combine moments of all time. Still,
It's true. Yeah.
I think they're.
Deion Sanders, right? Just being absolutely stunned.
I think
blown away that he ran like a 4.35 or something.
Uh-huh.
He was white.
That was a funny comment in general because I'm pretty sure Chris Jones's wiener also fell in that same combine.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay.
It was a weird moment. The whole thing.
Yeah, I think the Commanders deservedly fall right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, they're a solid group.
Yeah.
I like bet my entire mortgage that you weren't going to pick my next team. So I'm going to take the Chicago Bears next here. I just talked about it. Jalen Johnson, Eddie Jackson, proven reliable guys. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, kind of the same reason. I want to see one more year of good from them to like really bump them up even higher in this list. But then they get rookie Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami, Florida, who could be really good. Kendall Vildor's always just kind of been there. If they need him, fill in. And then Greg Stroman was picked up probably a month ago, and I think he's also been in the league for a while. So some solid veteran leadership too. They need it. So yeah, I think the Bears kind of like right at this halfway point.
For sure. I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals here. Chidobe Awuzie has always been pretty solid. Cam Taylor Britt of
Mhm.
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Mike Hilton is very fast, always been a really good slot corner, one of the better ones. Nick Scott, Dax Hill. He also drafted DJ Turner in the second round, and Jordan Battle in the third round. So there's some depth there depending on how those guys turn out. DJ Turner apparently has been having a really good camp too. So he's really fast. He was the fastest corner in the draft. So they have some speed, some physicality, and I think it was a top 10 group even last year, but they did lose their safeties. So we'll see how some of these guys fill in. Dax Hill is in his second year, those type of things. So, but I think it's a good group.
All right. I'm gonna go with their brothers in Ohio, the Cleveland Browns next.
Okay.
Denzel, I do still like Denzel Ward. I think he had a bad year last year, but
Yep.
I think he'll bounce back a bit. Grant Delpit, they pick up Juwan Thornhill. They have Greg Newsome, Ronnie McLeod, Claude, however you say that. AJ Green the third, not the wide receiver. Martin Emerson there. So I think it's a pretty decent group. Denzel Ward would have to, have a good, decent bounce back year for them to be like at this place. I think he will. They did lose Greedy Williams, so I don't like that's a big loss. John Johnson the third as well, but Thornhill should take over his spot. So
They have Jim Schwartz now. Jim Schwartz is their D coordinator now.
oh, he is okay. So
I think they're going to be
Good
better.
D coordinator. He's just a terrible head coach.
Not a good head coach, but a great D coordinator.
Mm.
yeah, but yeah, I think they're decent in the middle, late teens.
My next available here. Got him at 14. I'll take him at 19. That is the Carolina Panthers. JC Horn is going to be healthy this year. He got hurt right off the bat last year. Dante Jackson, kid, very good corner. Von Bell, Xavier Woods are reliable safeties. Jeremy Chin is also a good safety out of a small college. CJ Henderson, maybe they can find some first round potential there. He was in the same class as Jeff Okuda, and I'm pretty sure he went top 10 also. Jamie Robinson, Greg Maven, Mac McCain, Eric Rowe, I think Eric Rowe was a first round pick too back in 2015. So he's been in the league forever. I think he was in the Lake and
Super Bowl one time. He had a really bad Super Bowl with New England the one time.
he was I think he was in the Lake and Tomlinson draft class. That ages you a little bit.
What? No.
So yeah, I remember mocking him to the Lions in 2015 over
Taking
Lakin.
him over Lincoln Tomlinson, I tell you that right now.
I think Lakin was like my 12th choice to choose, and they picked Lakin Tomlinson. I was so mad at you.
Not good.
Ah, golly. And just like that, he's actually proved to be a pretty reliable offensive lineman for another team, not the Lions.
Yeah. Well, whatever. He stinks.
Whatever. So, all right, so yeah, 20.
20. I'm gonna go with the Patriots here at 20.
What was my next?
Getting a little bit into Christian Gonzalez being good, but I think he is going to be good. Coached by Belichick helps, but Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones, Miles Bryant, Adrian Phillips, Kyle Duggar is a really good safety. Phillips and Duggar are solid. I think they're going to be a versatile unit, and adding Gonzalez, they were kind of missing that other corner last year, and I think that's why they were a little bit of fall off from that group. But I think they'll probably overperform their ranking. Most of the time, they do on defense. They overperform their rankings when we look at them on paper. Every time we're like pretty meh most years, but they typically overperform their ranking, at least on defense. Offense, not so much lately, at least. But yeah, I think it should be a pretty solid group.
Yeah, but I mean, Belichick it's hard. We've talked about like ranking teams in a vacuum, but it's hard to like really do that, especially with a Belichick defense. Like, I think if Christian Gonzalez is going to have, like, if he's going to reach his ceiling, I
Yeah.
think with that defense, and Belichick is going to be the best opportunity for that. And if he, I mean, he had the highest ceiling of any cornerback in this draft. So if he can get close to there in that system, like, that's huge. But you've seen that Stephon Gilmore, like in that system. Who was the other? Jones? Was it a Jones?
Um,
4 years ago? I don't remember.
They've had
But
a-
There was
they've had a lot
Jack
of-
Jones. I think there was Jack
Jack
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah.
they've had a
I
lot
don't know.
of-
There was like a guy who was their starter, and like people didn't think anything of him, and then Belichick coached him into just being a stud. Maybe it was a Jacobs, something like that. I don't know.
There was
uh,
Joe Juan Williams. I remember he was kind of came out of nowhere.
I don't know.
All right, cool. Who do you got here at 21?
I'm
then?
gonna go with the Green Bay Packers. Obviously carried as a unit by Jair Alexander, one of the better corners in the league. But they still have Darnell Savage, Rudy Ford, a couple guys who have been there for a while. Their defense wasn't very good last year at like overall, but I don't know if a lot of it had to do with their secondary. I think they were just a weak run defense team. You got Rudy Ford, Rasul Douglas, Keyshawn Nixon.
Deshaun Nixon, yeah.
Keyshawn Nixon, okay. But yeah, it's a decent unit. Nothing to like, except for Alexander. Nothing where you're like it's jumping off the page at you, but
I
because
like
of him-
Savage. I think Savage is pretty good safety. So
Yeah.
we'll see if he kind of comes into his own this year.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't, but yes, he could. Titans are my next one here. Kevin Byard is an absolute ball hawk in the secondary. Picking up Sean Murphy Bunting off the Buccaneers, Roger McCreary. Also, I think he went to Washington too. So they've been cornerback the last couple of years. Amani Hooker, very good. Christian Fulton out of LSU is a big body corner. Caleb Farley. Outside of that, I don't really care. But that is that's not bad. I'll take that. I feel pretty good about that at 22. And Michael Lorenzen threw a no-hitter. So wow.
That's classic right there. I'm gonna go with the Giants here at 23.
Right,
Adore
nice.
Jackson, I think is still really solid. Obviously great on special teams, but he's really turned himself into a great corner. Deontay Banks out of Maryland, I believe, is I think is good. Darnay Holmes is solid. Xavier McKinney, good safety. Bobby McLean, at safety as well. We'll see. I was pretty high on Deontay Banks, going into the draft. So
We saw a lot of them in the Big Ten. Yeah.
yeah, I think he, I actually had him. I was really high on him. I would have been all right with the Lions. Found a way to get him at some point, but he ended up going. I mean, he shot up the draft boards pretty quickly. After he ran really well. So yeah, I think overall it's a really good group.
All right, Isaiah, you're at the pressure here for this one because I'm looking at our combined list. If you
Mhm.
take this team here, they finish with the exact amount of points as the Lions in the
Okay.
rankings. And if you don't, then they fall below the Lions.
Okay, is it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No, they're not a threat. They're not a threat.
Okay, well, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You already took the
Alright.
Bucks.
Yeah, it's like it's not the most incredible unit. I don't think you really have like, at least I don't recognize anybody as a big name. Yeah, Ryan. I mean, they pick up Ryan Neal, but it's a solid group. They lost Sean Murphy Bunting, which isn't an insignificant loss, but it's a pretty like stable group of guys. There's some depth there. Antoine Winfield Jr., Jamel
Dean, yeah.
D. Delaney, Zion McCullum, spelled with a Y. So yeah, it's all right.
I think they're solid.
Yeah.
Bucks are not a threat. The Bucks are not good. This is one of their higher ranked.
You were pretty safe. You were pretty safe to go out on a limb on the Bucks. They're
Pretty bad.
gonna finish bottom 3 or 4 in our rankings.
Okay.
They have actually their defense is actually pretty okay. They're pretty solid, but
Yeah.
I can see why though. Like I'm looking at it now, and the team that I was wondering if you were gonna pick or not, I rank them 28th, so they are not ready to go.
Oh,
So
not
they'll
yet.
still continue to fall a couple spots.
I know what team
Um,
you're talking about because we talked about how close they were last year or last
Yeah.
week. And,
Yeah, we did. Oh yeah, we did. Yep.
But yeah,
Let's see.
they've technically not good. So
Who do I have
Is it a
here?
bad team? Is it like a really
No,
bad
they're
team?
actually a pretty good team.
pretty good.
Okay.
They're
In
second.
fact, they may be better than the Lions this year. To be honest, it's just on
I
paper.
really want to guess.
You'll know when it gets
You'll
picked.
know. You'll know when the time comes.
You'll know.
I have
soon.
two guesses. I have two guesses, and I think it'll be one of those.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see if I can come up with trying to find my next available here.
What number is this?
This will be 25.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're 20. Do I have any 20s? Sorry. 19, 20, 21. All right. I moved them up with this probably the best free agent pickup yet. I want to say the Vegas Raiders here. They picked up Marcus Peters, and to me that knocked him up at least 5 spots for me. I like David Long Jr. there. Duke Shelley's solid. Marcus Epps is good. Obviously, we talked about him on the Eagles. Trayvon Moehrig out of TCU still could be solid. I like him. Roderick Teamer's been doing it for a while. Jaquan Johnson, Nate Hobbs, Isaiah Polamau, massive safety out of USC. I think he's like 6'5", 240. It's like he shouldn't be a safety, but he's massive. And then Amik Robertson. And then, as you know, Isaiah, you know this guy very well too, Tyler Hall. So he's there.
Done being a cop.
he's not sagging on anymore. So
He's not sagging off.
state trooper.
Give
Yep.
me
Liberty or give me death.
the Falcons here.
Oh, that was my next available. How did you know?
I know we didn't. Who knows about some injuries here? But AJ Terrell was really good 2 years ago. He was not as good last year, but I think he could kind of bounce back. Jeff Kuda, we know all about Jeff Kuda. Nothing else to say. Mike Hughes, Jesse Bates is solid though. Jesse Bates is a solid pickup. That was a really good decision to get him because he's always been a solid pro. And then Richie Grant is the other safety, more than likely. Not a great group. It really just depends. Mike Hughes and Jeff Kuda have kind of been disappointments to this point overall in their careers. So we'll see if some change of scenery kind of helps them out, especially.
And then Clark Phillips, I think, is like the 6th or 7th guy listed on there. He's out for the year with another non-contact injury. So
yeah, and Nakuda was carted off the field, so we'll see if what happens there.
I mean, so was CJ Gardner Johnson and
it
Jalen
could
Ramsey.
be nothing, but
Yeah.
I mean, Nakuda's had some injuries in the past too that have kind of been detrimental to his career as well. So hopefully he's okay.
He went to Ohio State, and we know those guys are sissies.
Yeah, and Andy, I mean, beyond that, he just stinks. So he's not very good. That's his biggest problem.
I love when players leave the Lions and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what a player!"
When Joey Harrington went to the Falcons too.
Yeah, well, we lost that guy. That was a
Dolphins,
disaster.
Falcons, Saints quarterback Joey Harrington.
Joey Harrington,
Um,
University of Oregon.
we're definitely into the. We're definitely
2003 cover athlete of NCAA football.
He was.
Yep.
You're right.
We're definitely into the garbage now. At least for me, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings. Here, 27. Harrison Smith. He's a good white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The few, the proud.
White secondary players, you gotta hold it down, man.
Yeah, it barely exists anymore. So
There's really nothing. I mean, there's a lot of names on my screen, but there's not much left after him for this whole team. A Caleb Evans, Cameron Bynum. I know that name for some reason. Not Makai Becton, but Makai Blackmon. Oh, they have Byron Murphy. Oh, Byron Murphy Jr. That's a different person. Josh Metellus, Andrew.
You know
Yeah.
Josh Metellus from Michigan.
I do know Josh Metellus from Michigan. I do. Yes.
They're hoping Lewis Seen gets back too. Well, I was pretty high on Lewis Seen. I thought he'd be pretty good, but he was hurt. So yeah, he's hurt. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
there.
there's just not much going on there. Not much
Mhm.
moves the kicker, as they say.
It was a bad group last year. It's probably gonna be pretty bad this year.
Yeah. Still like Harrison Smith. He'll still like call 3 fumbles on the Lions one day for some reason, but
Well, I'm still not taking a team next to the Lions. They're my second next to best available, but I'm going to take one other team here, and that's the Texans. I will take ahead of them. They got Steven Nelson, Jimmy Ward, Derek Stingley Jr., Desmond King, Shaquille Griffin, MJ Stewart, Eric Murray. So there's actually some pretty good dudes there. I kind of like the secondary. I had them at 24, so they did slip a little bit to me at 28. But then, yeah, Jalen Petre also still young. We'll see what comes of him. Darius Phillips, Kendall Sheffield, other guys. So there's Tavir Thomas. Yeah, this is a pretty good group of dudes.
Just young. I mean, even like Stingley, obviously.
I know. I just say these names out loud. I'm like, yeah, Desmond King had good years with the Chargers. Shaquille Griffin had great years with the Seahawks. MJ Stewart was a reliable rotational safety with the Bucks. Jimmy Ward with the 49ers. Steven Nelson with the Steelers. Like they've had some pretty reliable years. So it's
definitely not their
interesting.
worst. It's definitely not their worst position.
Yeah, no, it is.
No, they probably deserve to be a little higher if we're looking back at it, but I mean, Stingley was pretty terrible last year, though. So it's
I mean, Sauce Gardner was an anomaly. It's hard to compete with that, honestly, because rookie corners historically are like rookie tight ends. They just don't do anything their first year.
Yeah, right.
It's true. All right. I'm still not going to take the team, so I'm going to take the Cardinals.
For me,
Antonio Hamilton, Marco Wilson, Isaiah Simmons, Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker. Baker's still solid. Simmons, who knows what he even is, really. Again, we talked about this linebacker group, like on paper, like super athletic. Same thing with their safeties and corners, like super athletic team, super athletic group. But they don't really know what they are as a group together. I don't really know what their collective ability is. And maybe they're out of position. I mean, who knows, right? They're playing guys kind of all over the place. Cardinals are not going to be good. You got a weirdo as a head coach, and they have just a pretty poo-poo group on defense and really offense. So it's gonna be fun. I can't wait for those press conferences. I'm gonna look those up on YouTube every week because those coach is a weirdo. Absolutely.
With that spot being taken there at 29, they have officially sealed themselves as last place in our rankings.
Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah.
Were they last on coaches, I hope?
Well, they were 32 in head coach. They were 32 on D-line. They were 31 at running back.
Yep.
And then 29 and then 30 on offensive line.
Yep.
And then 29 at both DB and wide receiver. So quite a few at 29 or lower.
Yeah, I think we had
What were they at quarterback?
like
22.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Kyler's
there are 5
15.
fifth and special teams, and 12th for tight end. Those are their top 2.
Yeah. Super important groups too.
Especially when you don't have other good groups.
Yeah, super important.
Okay, I'm gonna also not pick the team we're talking about that I'm guessing we're talking about, but I don't think we're talking about. I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Oh,
Rams are my last or second to last, so that's fine.
Is that's not the team, right?
no.
Okay, I had it right. I had it right from the beginning.
I think at this point we're just boycotting it, right?
Well, I mean, I get it.
I'm definitely taking them because this last place team, they're horrendous. But
but the Rams, well, I really should take them. I really should take the Jaguars, but I'm not gonna. Just
That
because
team is
I
better.
wanted you guys to know that I guessed it without any other knowledge. I guessed
Well, they
it.
did pick up John Johnson III. That does help.
Yes, okay. The Rams did pick up John Johnson III. Other than that, they lost literally everybody. And they're in like full rebuild mode. But we'll see. Maybe they'll have some young guys that get some time to play and not be screamed at by Jalen.
Maybe Vincent Gray and Trevius Hodges Tomlinson are going to be elite.
Maybe Jason Taylor II is just gonna do something.
Ray, no, Hodges Tomlinson overrated.
Or Russell Yeast.
Kobe Durant.
Russ Yeast, dude, come on. Who's naming these kids?
It's funny they shortened Kobe Durant. His name was he was out of South Carolina State. I remember him out of South Carolina State. He was Kobe Durant. Why would you take that away from him?
That's too confusing to me.
He needs the day.
He's the only Kobe. The only Kobe.
Trevius?
Trevius Hodges Tomlinson.
Yeah, I think these people are just like adding names halfway through their life.
Isn't he the nephew of LaDainian Tomlinson?
Yeah, he's LT's nephew.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
One of my all-time favorite players.
He won the Thorpe Award last year. He's the nation's best corner at TCU.
So
that's why I picked them above the Jaguars.
Yeah, I got to take the Jaguars though.
Yeah.
They're not near as bad as the last one here.
No.
But yeah, okay. So the Jaguars, I'm gonna pull them up here. They've got almost nobody as well, but Darius Williams is actually had some good years there with the Rams. Trey Herndon had some good years with the Jets. Andrew Wingard, a white safety, can you believe it? And then Tyson Campbell, Rayshon Jenkins, Andre Cisco, I think played for Syracuse. And then Tavon Campbell. It's in Chris Claybush. So just a lot of less than mediocre players. And it's a shame that they're destroying the foundation of this really solid roster with this pitiful secondary.
They're still a year away. You know, you can't get it all figured out.
Yeah, they're gonna go heavy draft and spend free agent money though in that position.
They obviously knew like they had to fix other things first. I mean, first things first, they got rid of Urban Meyer and then they went from there. So you got
to protect, but they got to protect Trevor Lawrence, and they didn't do that either. We ranked their offensive line at 26.
Well,
so
yikes. They still had a pretty nice season last year with the crappy offensive line. So, but I
mean, if you take away our offensive line rankings and DB rankings, they finish this list top 7. So,
yep. But you can't take away 2 of those.
No, those are obviously you got to win in the trenches. That's a big one. So.
Okay. Yeah. The Colts.
You're going to take Boise State.
Yeah, I could take pretty much. I would take Georgia's DBs over this team.
Hillsdale.
Maybe Grand Valley State. Ferris State won the national championship last year. I'd take them.
Rhode Island School for the Deaf.
Yeah, I mean, I would take like Forest Hills West.
It's not even a real.
I don't think that's even a school.
Exactly.
That's the only one that's not valid.
Exactly.
What's that one school? What's that one school they made it up?
Bishop Sycamore. Sycamore. Yeah, I would take them.
We're 32. We're taking the Bishop Sycamore secondary.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the Colts. They lost Stephon Gilmore and Duke Shelley, which that's
everybody.
That was it right there. Isaiah Rodgers, Julius Brents, Kenny Moore, Rodney Thomas, and Julian Blackman. PFF's blurb at the end put it the best. The Colts will struggle to defend the pass in 2023. That's pretty much all it said.
I mean, that's simple.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple. And
I think Saleh could have wrote that line just on this, but
yeah,
they'll be bad.
They're not going to be good. So
not good.
Defensively, it's like, yeah, their strength is linebacker. They're 9th in linebacker. Obviously, Shaq Leonard helps. Bobby Okereke helps. But D-line, they're 25. So to compound the issues in the secondary, they're going to not get much pass rush. It's going to be rough.
No, they're going to be bad, and their offense is going to be really bad, especially Jonathan Taylor stuff going on.
I think they're going to be the worst team.
Ooh, hot take. Anthony Richardson is going to be terrible.
What's he gonna do?
I mean, even if he's good, I don't anticipate them
He could
being.
be Mike. He could be Mike Vick, and they would suck.
Granted, we made this list with Jonathan Taylor still expected to play, and there are now concerns.
If
with that.
I should say, if Jonathan Taylor doesn't play, they're going to be the worst team.
I mean, again, we'd probably lower their.
I didn't even get any of the.
We
back.
rank them at 8 at running back, assuming Jonathan Taylor. If they lose Jonathan Taylor, they fall probably to like 28, 30 range. And that moves them to tied for second to last with the Texans.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So Cardinals are still worse. That's what it says
the
here.
backstory on the Taylor stuff, though, I didn't even look. I haven't paid any. I mean, I know obviously he asked for a trade, but like, why did he say?
The Colts are just a poverty franchise.
I mean, they're terrible. You got a drunk, coke addicted owner, so that doesn't help.
Way to go, Jim Irsay, taking the title of worst owner right after that guy sold the Redskins.
Jim Irsay.
Dan Snyder.
Yeah. Dan Snyder leaves, and Jim Irsay's like, "Hold my beer, everybody.
I'm the worst."
Guess who everybody's gonna make sell the team next?
Probably Irsay's a mess. He's a mess. So.
What a psycho.
So with these all locked in now, 49ers are 1, Ravens are 2, Eagles are 3.
See, the
Chiefs.
Ravens at 2 doesn't feel right.
I know, I don't like that either. There's some iffy.
I don't like
that. We have them ranked super high every year, and they end up being good, right? They'll win 12, 13 games, but then I don't know if their style translates to winning multiple playoff games, but we'll see. They got a new offensive coordinator.
They're literally ranked 7 or higher in every position except for 3. So at D line, they're 23. At running back, they're 22. And at wide receiver, they're 19. So every position other than that is Lamar Jackson ranked at 7, is higher than 7. So that's where they're getting all their ratings at.
That's probably the highest we've ever had him at receiver, too.
Yeah, I mean, they've been bad for the last several years. And obviously, the Eagles there are right there ahead of the Chiefs. So the Super Bowl matchup is at 3 and 4 from last year. Then the Bengals are next, and the Bills. Next interesting one is the Seahawks and Browns are next. So it's like, how do we feel about the Seahawks and Browns there?
Yeah, that's weird too.
Cowboys, Chargers, Steelers finish 1 ahead of the Lions, and the Jaguars fall significantly to tie the Giants, who are 1 point ahead of the Jets. So that is the top half. And then we talk about Cardinals, Texans, Bucks, Rams, Colts, and Titans are last. And you could probably put the Falcons in that terrible group too. And there's a pretty significant jump between that. So man.
I don't think it's all that inaccurate. I think,
there's a couple weird ones, but
I still would pick the Chiefs probably as the number 1 team, but because they have the best quarterback. So I mean that weights it. You know what I mean? We don't weight the position groups. So
teams are always going to underperform and overperform based on coaching, based on just you get a year where some people get hot or cold,
or injuries.
Isaiah, I don't know if it's considered dilly-dallying, but were you going to do 2018 draft, or are we just going to?
I got it.
All right, 2018 draft, and then we'll close it out and probably take a week or 2 off before we do our Lions preview and season preview.
Should do a Michigan.
Michigan preview for sure.
This one's a doozy.
Oh boy.
So underperformed, overperformed, or met expectations.
Okay.
One overall, Maker Bayfield.
Maker Bayfield.
So you gotta say
underperformed
at that position.
So I always look at Wikipedia and they have a little note section of accolades of that person's career. It just says 2017 Heisman Trophy. His accolades from college, and then it sucked. I
mean, he probably still underperforms if he's taken where any other first round quarterback is taken. But on top of him being the first overall quarterback in a class that's loaded with quarterbacks in this first round, that's crazy.
But okay, I will say, I'm looking at the quarterbacks in the first round, and we'll get to them. But There's 5, and I think he's right in the middle at 3.
I mean, only 2 really panned out. So
So okay, anyway, because Baker he at least had like one decent year.
I would
So,
still say
anyway.
Baker is probably the 3rd best QB in that class.
Yeah, that's what he just said. Yeah.
Okay, number 2 overall, Saquon Barkley.
I don't like
That's
running
it.
backs taking the top 5.
I'd say as much as you can at that high, he's definitely met.
Barely met.
But,
Barely met.
but his problem hasn't necessarily been his fault. It's been the injuries. So we'll see.
It's been the injuries, yeah. When you take a running back 2 overall, you need like a 10-year with your franchise not
But
missing.
we're also seeing the direction of running backs in this league. They don't matter. No one's ever going to take a running back top 2 again, or at least
Yeah, but this is
At least not for a while.
2018. This is 2018 before we learned that lesson.
I feel like there's a lot of teams going running back by committee by 2018. But a lot of people thought he was generational talent, and I don't know if I don't think he's met generational talent, even if he is healthy.
He did win Rookie of the Year that year. He was very successful when healthy. It's just
He was good last year. Just whether he stays healthy or not, I think.
Okay. 3 overall. Are we saying he's met? Would
Yeah.
we
I say barely met.
okay. 3 overall. Sam Darnold.
Underperformed.
Yeah, terrible. Definitely.
Seeing ghosts. So no.
4 overall. Denzel Ward for the Cleveland Browns.
I say he's met.
Say he's met him though he had a bad year last year.
It's
Yeah,
tough.
I'd say
Yeah,
met.
I mean he was Pro Bowl, All Pro even for 2 years. I think he's 2-time All Pro for my memory.
He definitely still has time to like exceed his expectations, but
Mm-hmm.
Hard to exceed at number 4.
okay, defensive end. I think technically he might be a linebacker. Technically, I don't know. Edge. Denver Broncos picked Bradley Chubb.
I'd say met.
I'd say underperformed.
I don't know. He's been pretty good. It's tough.
Wikipedia picture is still from NC State, so that's not a good sign.
That's not necessary. I mean, maybe, but it's
Good.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think he puts up decent numbers, but I think it's the first defensive player, and he's the first defensive player off this list, I think. Oh, Denzel Ward, that's right. Okay.
Been a Pro Bowler twice.
Was he twice? I thought he got
2020
one.
and 2022.
Okay, I'll put it up to barely met then. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been a force, right? He's not somebody you like game plan around necessarily, but he's been good.
Mm-hmm.
He's been solid. I would say Met. 6 overall, Indianapolis Colts selected Quentin Nelson.
Oh yeah, Ed Matt. I would say almost exceeded. He's one of the best.
Yeah.
He's the best guard in the league. So.
Yeah.
I mean, 6. Yeah, because think about it. What was Panay picked? Was he 7?
7? I think he was 7.
Yeah, and I would say
Yeah.
he's exceeded.
If he turned out like Quentin Nelson, we would all be like, oh, exceeded expectations.
Yeah, Quentin Nelson's a Pro Bowl every year.
Yeah, and he's the best guard in the league. So
Mhm.
picking him at 6, you expect him to be the best guard in the league. Okay, 7, Josh Allen. I'm kind of tempted to say exceeded.
I say exceed.
I feel like people were
It's
very
because he's the third. I think it helps because he's the 3rd quarterback taken.
If he was the number
Yes.
1 overall pick, I would maybe lean.
I mean, say Matt. I'd say Matt as the
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
And what
the fact that he's 7th. Yeah, they had already picked 2 quarterbacks.
They were talking about early on in that draft process. They were talking about like 2nd round for him. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Part of my him drafted. DraftJoshAllen.com.
Yeah.
Okay, Chicago Bears 8th overall picked Roquan Smith.
Matt,
Matt.
it's really good.
but not great.
49ers at 9th overall picked Mike McGlinchey.
Matt. He's a reliable
Yeah.
tackle.
He's good.
He's fine. He's not as good as he should be at 9 overall.
I just don't think it was a deep tackle group.
No,
That's
not at
fine.
all.
He helped them for quite a few years. I mean, I'd say he was a pretty key part of their offensive line. But yeah, he's not like upper echelon, but he's definitely really good.
Yeah, he isn't like year after year all pro, like Pro
Mhm.
Bowler. Okay, possibly the worst pick, even though we went through Baker Mayfield. 10 overall, Arizona Cardinals picked Josh Rosen.
Ooh, exceed.
That's so bad.
Terrible, terrible.
Ugh. People,
I mean-
I remember people wanting him first overall. Like, oh,
Yeah.
should just pick him.
I mean, to be fair, I heard everyone say from anywhere from Josh Allen to Baker Mayfield. Like in my mock draft, the very first podcast we ever did, actually, it was called Draft House before it was called the 6-3. First podcast RJ and I did, we said Josh Allen should be the number 1 overall pick. Both RJ and I did. So it looks good on paper now that we've made that prediction. But yeah, he's Josh Rosen. Yikes, bad.
No. And they moved on from him immediately.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are undrafted quarterbacks in this class. I think Kyle Allen for the Washington Redskins for a couple years was in this class, undrafted, and he's better.
Yep.
Okay. 11 overall, Minka Fitzpatrick to the Miami Dolphins.
Met.
Matt's-
Yeah, he's Matt, I think.
I mean, he was good with the Dolphins. He's good with the Steelers. So.
Yeah. Okay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked Vita Vea.
Maybe even exceed.
Maybe even exceeded. Yeah, he's been a
I think
monster.
He's a unanimous top 5 DT in the league every year.
Yeah. I'd say exceeded. I don't think that's too bold. Redskins picked. Oh, sorry, Commanders. Picked 13th overall.
They were the Redskins still at this time. So
They were the Redskins. Deron Payne, 13th overall.
I think he's met. He's been here. Yeah.
I'd say Matt.
Hasn't
He's
been
not better than Vita Vea. So yeah.
No, but he's been good.
New Orleans Saints at 14th overall picked Marcus Davenport.
Oh, he has a new opportunity to succeed with the Vikings this year, but
Yeah, but to this
say-
point,
he was
I would
not
say
good.
Phil.
Now, I'm eating my words. I literally I like him. I liked him a lot. I wanted the Lions to draft him in this draft. They took
Mm.
Frank Ragnow, which I like that better, but
right?
it's oof.
Yeah,
I would say underperformed even.
I'd say underperformed. Oakland Raiders at tackle picked Colton Miller.
He's okay. Maybe barely met.
I don't know. I'd say underperformed because I don't know who that is.
Oh.
So,
He's been a starter, I think. I think he's still a starter right now.
Yeah, I think he is.
Buffalo Bills selected for linebacker Tremaine Edmonds at 16 overall.
See,
So I think
would
he's
like-
met, but he's
met,
he's
but
very
closer to underperformed than exceeded.
yes.
Because
Yeah.
because he's, the talent is so high. He could have been he could be so much better.
Yeah, I expected him to be a lot better.
Mhm.
Okay, 17 overall, Derwin James, safety.
Exceeded.
Exceeded.
Top 3 safety in my opinion.
I would say barely exceeded though, because he's still hurt all the time. It's
Yeah, but I think
talent
when
wise
he-
though, he's
top 3 safety.
Okay, the second cornerback taken by the Jair Alexander.
Exceeded.
exceed. Yeah.
Exceeded. Yeah, he's top 3 cornerback, top 5 cornerback. This one's tough for me because I really like him, but he has injury concerns all the time. Dallas Cowboys at 19 overall picked Leighton Vander Esch. I'd say Matt. I don't think you can say underperformed, but
I'd
his
say
injury, he's out all the time.
he's met.
Yeah, I'll give him a barely met.
But yeah, the times he was in, especially, I mean, he had impact right away. He just
I
deals
don't
with.
think his ceiling isn't crazy high. I think he just is what he is.
Yeah.
20 overall. Joel, you mentioned him. Frank Ragnow to the Detroit Lions.
Exceed.
Exceeded.
I'd say exceeded.
Top one of the.
However, there's rumors that he could retire after this year.
Yeah, he's
So,
beat up. He's been beat to hell.
mhm.
Yeah.
Which is
He's
why
been on the
Frank
Lions since
Glasgow
Does,
is
does it change your perception? Does he go down to Met if he retires after like 6 years?
Maybe.
a real reason. Like if he's got like CTE already, then I won't feel as bad. Then it's not real. I don't know for injuries, depending on like what's going on. Like I don't really blame guys for injuries necessarily.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Offensive linemen just get the crap kicked out of them.
Yeah.
Okay. 21 overall, Cincinnati Bengals picked Billy Price.
No, he's not been good. He's not been good.
they underperformed.
Ohio State, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's under Ohio State, so put him under perform. Tennessee Titans picked Rashawn Evans, linebacker, out of Alabama.
I liked Rashawn Evans, but he was only good for like 2 years.
I'd say he
So
underperformed. His first
I'd
I'd say
round pick-
underperformed too. He just like fell off a cliff after 2 years.
You can't just have two. Yeah, you can't just have a little bit of success when you're a first overall pick,
Mhm.
first round pick.
In fact, I don't think he's on a roster right now. I mean,
Yeah, then definitely on. New England Patriots selected Isaiah Wynn at tackle.
Isaiah Wynn's a miss. He's underperformed.
Yeah, I mean,
You
he's
think
been
so?
pretty bad.
Wasn't
Okay.
he? Isn't he all time bust? He's not even on a roster either. I think.
Yeah, I
right
don't
now.
think he's
Is he
playing.
not? Am I thinking of someone different? I don't know.
I don't think he's
Isaiah.
playing.
I think he's. He's on the Dolphins. Who am I? There's another Isaiah. Is it? Who's another Isaiah? That
Isaiah
There's like-
Me.
Wilson, all-time butt.
Isaiah Wilson. Am I thinking of?
Georgia, he's an all-time, but he was like 4th overall, I think. or
That's
5th
who maybe
overall.
I'm thinking of. Yeah, because I mean Isaiah Wynn's
Yeah,
played in-
Jaskins.
played 43 games. Well, I would maybe.
I was
maybe
gonna
he's
say I
down.
thought he's been.
I
Fine.
feel like I was mixing him up with Isaiah Wilson, so he
Isaiah
could
Wilson
be
is a
met.
bust. Isaiah Wilson's like a top 5 ever bust. Like,
Yeah,
he, was
he didn't
so
even play
bad.
I don't think he's even started a game.
Okay. 24 overall, Carolina Panthers selected DJ Moore.
DJ
Isaiah-
Moore, yeah, he's exceeded.
Yeah, definitely.
Isaiah Wilson, we're gonna look at this. He played 1 season. He was drafted in the 1st round, and now he's pursuing a career as a rapper.
Hell yeah.
He was picked 29th overall, but he never he played in 1 game.
Nice.
1 game played. That's that's an all-timer.
Nice. 25 overall, Baltimore Ravens, Hayden Hurst.
Met.
Meh.
Say Met. He's a
He's-
solid tight end. He's a
alright.
tight end too. He's a solid
He's
tight
the
end.
first tight end taken, first round tight end. Oh,
Horrible
man.
tight end group. And yeah, I hate 1st-round tight ends anyway. I would say, like, if you want to look at it as like a draft grade, I'd put it pretty low because I hate 1st-round tight ends for the most part. But
Ooh,
but I
this
think he's a
tight
good
end class
tight
was
end.
this tight end class. They should not have picked him.
I mean, I'm sure it didn't have Njoku and Howard.
You want me to read you the 3 tight ends taken after him?
Mark Andrews and Mike Gesicki.
Mike Gesicki, Dallas Goddard,
Well, Mark Andrews was 2nd round.
3rd round.
Was he 3rd round? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
but he was drafted by the same team, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both
was-
drafted
yeah,
by the
they were.
Ravens.
They were. Yeah.
No, it's just funny that Hayden Hurst
Ravens
was
won,
because
really.
Hayden Hurst might be the worst out of all 4 of them.
Yeah, and like I said, he's a tight end too. Mark Andrews, they got their tight end 1 in the 3rd round. They got their tight end 2 in the
Yeah,
2nd.
yeah, there you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
The old bait and switch.
Yeah.
I'll say Hayden Hurst is Matt.
I think he's
still in
Matt.
the
I
league.
don't think he's
doing
like-
okay.
Atlanta Falcons 26 overall, Calvin Ridley.
Well, before gambling,
He's Matt. He's
I'd
Matt.
still,
He's
I'd
Matt.
definitely say Matt. Now,
Yeah.
if he stays off of
Nice.
FanDuel, then
I think he's right on the Met mark right now.
yeah, I'd say Matt. He's still really good. We'll see how he is this year after a
Yeah.
year off.
27 overall, guy who just kind of disappeared. At least, no, well, he still plays. Rashad Penny.
He's hurt a lot, dude.
Yeah,
I thought that was a bozo pick.
he
but
was
I-
he was
I
so
was
good at San Diego State.
yeah,
He was
I mean,
very good. He
He
had
had
some
Nick
stuff.
Bodden. He had Nick Bodden.
Didn't
Didn't he have like a
Blocker.
billion yards one year? Didn't he have like
Yeah,
a?
he
Didn't he
did.
set the NCAA record?
He might have. He was.
Nick Bodden. It was Nick Bodden. That's what it was.
They set the record.
I'd say underperformed just because of his.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
But
should've been
I mean, I think the talent is there, but he just hurt too much.
He should have been better. Okay. Terrell Edmonds taken by the Steelers, 28th overall.
He's not been as good as his brother Tremaine even. So
No,
I'm
I
gonna say
might say
underperformed.
underperformed
I'm gonna
for
say
a first
underperformed.
rounder.
Yeah.
29th overall, Taven Bryan, defensive tackle for the
Ooh.
Jaguars. I don't know who that is.
There's a white defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Didn't we go to Florida?
Oh, that's
was he at Florida?
Yeah.
Rather than Florida. I'd
He was
say
out of Florida.
No,
yes.
he's a bum.
he was a bust.
Minnesota Vikings selected Mike Hughes, 30 overall.
Also underperformed, I'd say.
Yeah.
I I mean,
He should be
overall,
a solid starter every year, and
Better,
he's
and
now
he's-
he's a rotational guy that can plug in and play if you need him.
right. I mean, he's not a bad. If he's on your team and he's a depth piece, he's not terrible, but he's not a starter.
Mhm.
31 overall, Sony Michelle.
He's retired.
Tired now.
Yeah.
Now
A little bit of
he-
underperforming there.
I'm gonna say he had two good years.
he had
but it's
two-
like
yeah,
we
but
talked
he's a
about, you
first round
can't-
pick. He's a
Rashawn
first round
Evans.
pick.
Rashawn Evans though, 2 good years, did nothing. So
Yeah,
I want to say
I would say
underperformed.
underperformed, but I think he. I mean, he won a couple Super Bowls, right? 2 or 3 Super Bowls, maybe even. So
I mean, he's on the Patriots,
And-
Tom Brady rosters for Belichick. I mean, that
and
helps.
he was
All
a
right,
good
32 overall. I think we'll all agree it was an over.
Lamar. Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah, he's good.
way overperformed what we thought he would be. I think.
Yeah.
Especially they were talking
Um,
about a receiver or running back going into it.
Couple notables from the next.
I remember taking a cop out approach when I did our first mock draft on Lamar. I was like, you know what? I think he's going to be okay, but like, I could see him being a bust, but I could see him being crazy good. Like it was the most cop out analysis I've ever
Yeah.
done.
Good.
He could be.
Um,
I mean, he could have been Mike Vick, right? That was everybody was like, he could be Mike Vick, or he could be like Jamarcus Russell. Like he
Uh-huh.
could be so bad, or he could be like incredible, and he's
Uh-huh.
pretty good, pretty darn good.
So some notable picks from the later rounds. Nick Chubb, 35 overall. Definitely overperformance there.
Yep.
Shaquille Leonard, 36 overall, right after him.
Overperformed.
Linebacker.
He was Darius when
Uh,
he was drafted.
He was.
You have Cortland Sutton, wide receiver for the Broncos, taken in the second round.
Yep.
Dallas Goddard, who we mentioned in the second round. Let's see. Ooh, I don't think he did good, but I just remember Darius Juice.
Nice.
Darius Geis. He's kicked out of the league now. He had some issues.
LSU, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So that'd be underperformed.
Yep. DJ Chark at 61 overall.
Good pick.
Fred
Okay.
Warner. Fred Warner,
Ooh,
60th
That's
overall.
a major.
Possibly the steal of the draft,
Yeah.
Yep.
along with Mark Andrews at 86 overall.
Yep, that's a good one.
Orlando Brown Jr. also picked at 83.
Zeus Jr. I remember that announcement. I
The
remember
Ravens cleaned up this draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. They got some great value.
Yeah, they
This
got
might have been their
Orlando
worst
Brown,
pick.
and then 3 picks later, Mark Andrews
And Lamar Jackson at 32.
and Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
And Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst was their worst pick.
Now I'm
Yeah.
just looking at names I recognize. Will Disley at 120.
Hmm.
He had 1 year
Josh-
with the Seahawks. And
Josh Sweat at 130 overall.
That's pretty
Josh
good.
Sweat was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some character issues, though. I remember they were worried. Everybody was worried about.
But he was
Just looking at-
explosive. He also had one of the fastest 40 times.
And then Mr. Irrelevant that year was Trey Quinn, wide receiver for the Redskins.
Nope.
Is
But
he
I
still
won't
on a roster?
say
he's-
he over or underperformed.
He's on the Lions practice squad.
nice.
He's a white guy.
He is.
Better.
He played for the Michigan Panthers.
With
Trey
Shea
Quinn.
Patterson.
Wow. Look at that.
With Shea Patterson.
There's some good trivia.
That's cool.
But yeah,
All right.
Sweet.
Well, then, maybe we take a week, or at least 2, maybe a week or 2, for sure 1 week off, and we reconvene and discuss Michigan football, college football preview, maybe, and then do a little bit of fantasy talk with an NFL preview. I know that even when Isaiah retired, that was his last show, but he said, I will make it on for my NFL previews.
Mhm.
That was a staple. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll start getting that schedule planned out. And yeah, football season's coming.
Week 1. When's week 1 for NFL?
Well,
September
September
9th.
7th is the first. Yeah, September
September
7th
7th,
is
but that weekend of September 9, right? And then
I-
I think college football kicks off technically August 26th, I think, is their first and D1 game.
let me see. So we can still do 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4
Rutgers is playing their
4 more weeks till the NFL season starts. So we'll probably definitely do 1 or probably possibly 2 weeks off. I think we can do 2 weeks off.
Rutgers will be playing their bitter interconference rival Oregon.
Oregon and Rutgers. Oh my. The intercoastal Big Ten, coast to coast. What the heck? The Big 18. The Big 18.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, then we'll see you guys in 2 weeks to talk some football.
For sure. See you.
See you guys.